Welcome to a very brief Get You Started in Ladder Logic. This is the first tutorial for Codesys. I'll be working through the structured text, instruction list, sequential function chart, and function block as separate little videos. But we'll start with the very simple first project. So we need a new project. So we'll go with a standard project. I'm going to call this one Test Ladder, and off we go. So when you create a first project, it's going to ask you for the type of language you want. So make sure you pick the one you want here. I'm going to be simulating this locally in the code, so I'm after the Codesys Win3 Smart Software solution there. So we're just using the test software from Codesys, so we don't have any I/O per se to add in, but if you dig into the Codesys from some of the other manufacturers when they've delivered it, you'll note that you can just configure up the software to use the internal variables as defined. So very similar to how we're just going to generate a variable here. So as per IEC 61131, we've got our PLC program file up here. Now you'll also note down here under the main task, it's referenced so that it's being run. This is, if anyone's ever used jumps files in the old Alan Bradley days, then this is the equivalent down here under the main task. This is telling us that this program organizational unit up here, PLC program in Ladder, is down here for being run. So I'm after a couple of simple things here. So there's a couple of ways you can get a variable. You can type them in up the top, or we can insert ourselves a contact here, and we can type in the box here. I'm just going to go for switch 1 here, hit enter, and it's going to say, oh, what do you want? So here it is. I'm just going to have a switch as a boolean. Now I just want a coil, so we're going to insert a coil here, and we're going to call this lamp 1. Lamp 1. Thank you. And again, comes up with a boolean. It's a whole raft of things, but note up here we have our variables, so they've been created for us. So this is about as simple a ladder rung as you can get. Now one of the nice things about Codesys is it allows us to do visualizations straight in here. So up here in application, if we right click and add an object, then we can get ourselves a new visualization. This is like a graphical interface that we can use inside here. If you're doing an HMI type program then that's compatible with Codesys, then this is where you build the GUI that gets downloaded into the HMI. So you can do all sorts of bits and pieces with it, but it's connected internally to these variables. So we've got our visualization screen, so I'm going to go and grab the standard lamps and switches and things and hook them up. So I've got a lamp, so we're going to drop a lamp in here. Make sure I've got it. Here we go. We'll have a lamp. Now you'll notice that we've got the toolbox, which gives us the information, and we can go over to the properties here. So if we go to the properties, we need to hook that lamp up to a variable. If you double click in the box, then it gives us a picker. So here, you note we've got to find the specific local variable. Because it's defined in the actual code, it's down in the PLC program, it's under lamp. So there's a local to this program only. So they're only accessible by this program because we haven't defined anything globally yet. So all the ones I'm going to do in this tutorial, all the variables are local. Haven't done any information sharing. So we'll hook that up to the lamp and we'll just leave it as it is. So back down here, pick a toolbox, and I'm going to take a dip switch and stick it in here. So we'll just grab a switch and a lamp. So this will allow us to easily test this in simulation. So we'll grab a variable. So we're in the same place, so we want that switch that we've just made in our code. So there we are. So one of the things you can do in here, which can make it much easier to see, if you right click up in the tab bar, then you can say new vertical tab, which is going to allow us to look at the visualization and also look at our code over here, depending on options. So we can make this auto hide, give ourselves a bit of space. So there we are. Now to make this run, first of all we can build to prove that our code works. So that's come up and that's quite happy. So hasn't thrown us any errors. So we can see down here the messages. If we click that, there it is. So there we go, it's on auto hide, easy. So it's all good. So if we want to simulate this, online down here we need to select simulation. Need to make sure that's checked. Okay, there it is. And then if we say log in, it's going to download this into the simulating software inside this computer here. So yes, we want to simulate it. So it does all of its internal code generation, gets it ready, gets the visualization ready. Okay, we've got 4 messages saying that things are all good, I suspect. And you'll see it comes up generally as stopped, and we're in simulation mode. So in order to get this to run, we have to start it. So there we have a start. So if we move this across a bit so we can see what's going on, you'll see that the blue indicates here that this side of the ladder is active. Up here, prepared value. So if we click in here, okay, we can choose what it's going to be when we change the values. So we want this switch to change to true. Now up here in debug, you'll see write values. So you choose the value you want written, so you can choose it for multiple inputs at the same time, and then we write the values and we get a change. Now remember, we set ourselves a visualization. Now if we click on the switch, it does the same thing for us. It interacts directly with our running code in the visualization. This is a very useful way to be able to hook up switches and lamps so that you can see exactly what your code's doing by interacting with it inside the simulation. So there we go. That's a very simple bit of getting some ladder in here. So we're now going to take this offline, so we'll log out and I'm going to save it, and I'll be back with a structured text.